Okay. Sound is rolling.
That's good. All right, so welcome. You know, this is our seventh one. And on my way over here, I was thinking about a title for this one. And I thought about time. I thought about how when you're young and someone tells you how precious time is, and it happened to me. When I was 21, and I had gone to see my accountant, you know, someone who kept the books for me, educated me big time, actually. A guy by the name of Joe Panzita, and his wife, Nancy, was his secretary. And I'll never forget, I was insulted because when I walked into the room with all my paperwork, he said, "Did you bring all your shit?" I was young, you know. To me, it's such a big deal. But I never forget that day because as I was leaving, his wife came into the hallway and she said, "Aldo, time is so precious." Now, here I am, 21, and I'm walking out of the building and I'm saying to myself, what is she talking about? Okay, now, when I turned 43, in fact, I turned 43 in Las Vegas. And I remember being out and about, and, you know, it's my birthday, and someone said, you know, "How old are you?" And I said 43. In fact, I said, today I'm 43, but yesterday I was 23. Now, I can go on and on. Ringo Starr, for instance, said, "What happened to 25 years?" Elton John said the same thing. Joe Cocker, I don't know if you ever heard of Joe Cocker, a singer. Well, he had $1 million, and he said, I don't know what happened to it. 25 years, you know, he was in the bottle. You know, in fact, there's a great song called In the Bottle. So that's what I'd like to discuss, time, you know. Now, when you think about, for instance, I'm one to, for instance, I ran late today, which I'm always late for everything. But I almost wasn't going to take a shower, and I said to myself, oh, well, you know, I got to take a shower, you know. Get out of the work clothes, my blue-collar clothes, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So I enjoy doing this. But time, I've said it before on podcasts, time is so valuable. It is so precious. You know, I know that a lot of times I've driven to work and there's an accident. And, you know, maybe that person is rushing to get to work. They don't want to get yelled at, et cetera, et cetera. But what's the difference if you get yelled at, you know? Take your time. Me, I've got this thing about how long does it take me to take a shower, shave, get dressed. I'm into like 45 minutes. You know, I got this thing about I keep track of things. You know, how long does it take me to brush my teeth? In other words, how long does it take me to shave? If instead of throwing my clothes around, how long would it take for me to put them away? In other words, it's only a minute here, 2 minutes there. You know, so it's time is so precious. You know, that's why I mentioned about. I'm going to mention it one more time. How corporations today are kidnapping people for their time. I've said that in a podcast. You know, what else can we talk about? Let's talk about different things, okay? Let's jump from talking about time and when MGM was put together.
Okay.
Okay? When MGM was put together, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on a podcast.
You've mentioned MGM a little bit.
Yeah. But one year they made 26 movies. Now, that's a movie every 2 weeks, okay? I don't know why. With the old type systems they had, the cameras, the films, no computer simulation, how they can make movies every 2 weeks, okay? Now, today, I can't stand the fact that people in that business make it sound so complicated. You know, I mean, you can make a movie with a phone today. You know, it's amazing. Okay, so now getting back to time. Okay, now of course I've mentioned it before that I'm 71. Okay, and I have a 5-year plan for Ecco'la Entertainment. And by the way, Ecco'la is a domain now. I gotta put up a credit card, but that's no big deal.
Yeah, we got .com.
We got, right, and then it's Ecco'la Entertainment at Gmail. In case you want to send me an email.
Yeah, if you guys want to reach out to the podcast.
Right, exactly. Okay, so now this is the 7th one. Okay, we're getting we're getting some feedback. I don't know if I did it for feedback. I'm trying to launch an entertainment company, and I think about when a movie comes out. Okay, what is the cost of like a DVD? Like a major motion picture.
Like the cost of the plastic DVD?
The DVD, yeah.
Like just one of them?
$15, $15.
Yeah. Yeah, $15 now.
$15, right? That's a cheeseburger and a soda.
Yeah.
You get French fries with it, $15 isn't bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So years ago I thought about, because people go on that, there's a site, what's that called? Fundme.com.
That's
insane.
GoFundMe, yeah.
That's insane. I remember when I got into the internet a little bit, and I spoke to an attorney, a friend of mine, and about money and this and that. And he says, well, you can't sell a patch of the sky, right? But now they came up with all these games. They got slot machine games, but these are all free games. But yet they want to sell you credits. They call them dollars. But like for $99, you can buy 20 million credits.
Yeah.
It's kind of insane. Like give them a game to play, and you can charge them money.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, the kids get hooked on it. Like on the iPad,
Oh, of course, because who doesn't like to play games? I play them myself.
Exactly.
I've never played like those. What's that called? PlayStation.
Yeah.
Where you're
video
shooting
games.
people or trying to get into a building, or they're shooting you, or you're shooting zombies or whatever. Of course, I'm getting off track again. But getting back to time, okay, and how precious it is. In life, the expression "time flies," or "I don't have the time." You know what I like the most? You call someone, they say they're in a meeting. Oh, they're talking to one person, but they're in a meeting. It sounds good. I'm in a meeting, right? So, I mean, take your time about everything, even though, okay, the expression I've had is, although life is short, it's actually a very long time, There's 365 days a year. Leap year, right? I know someone that was born February 29th, dear friend of mine. But that's 365 days a year. You got to get up in the morning. You're going to have breakfast, take a shower, get dressed, go to work, come home. And it's every day. That's a long time. You know what I mean? When someone says to me, oh, he's a friend of mine. How long have you know him? 6 months. 6 months. That's no time at all. 6 months. There's people in your life that are going to be your friends. You can't pick your friends. You can't buy a friend. And I have an expression. That the only time you lose a friend is when one of you dies. There's no such thing as he used to be my friend, because it never was. She never was. He never was. There I go again. Now we're off the time. But it's interesting how precious time is that the founder of Tesla,
Elon Musk,
I think, got a grant from the government. He's experiencing with rockets.
Yeah.
Travel. where, in other words, I'm not going to live to see it, but the travel, in other words, you go straight up into space and you come straight down where you want to be. It's interesting.
Yeah, they don't have to just let the rockets be used once. They can use them over and over
It's almost
again.
like an elevator.
Yeah, it is.
You're going straight up and coming straight down.
Yeah.
I mean, within hours.
Yeah.
Or an hour. You go straight up and you come straight down.
Yeah.
Okay? Getting back at time. Everything's precious. It's like when I was contracting on my own, and I'd go to somebody's house and I'd estimate a job, and they'd say, well, I could do it myself, but I don't have the time. Oh, gee. Well, then you're going to have to pay me dearly because I'm giving you time. If someone goes shopping for you, you have groceries delivered. It's time you're saving. Getting back to Walt. In other words, they don't do their own laundry. I'm sorry. Their wives don't go to the washing machine and the dryer. I would think very rare. In other words, I can't imagine Melania Trump doing laundry, okay, or Biden's wife doing laundry, Jacqueline Kennedy doing laundry. They don't do laundry. They send out, and then it's a strange thing that when we first came to America and first moved to New Jersey, my mother actually used a laundry service for towels and sheets and blankets because it's time consuming. Everything is time consuming. So a friend of mine said a minute ago, 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago, in Memphis they use the expression, it's been a minute. Who knows what it really means? So he said to me, do you know that there's enough millionaires in this country to give everyone in the country $1 million, right? Well, guess what? Who's going to cut your grass? Who's going to climb up on a roof and nail shingles? Who's going to climb under a sink to do plumbing? Who's going to dig ditches? That's not the way things work.
Yeah.
But that's why time is so precious. So use it wisely. I say that I made enough mistakes for 9 lifetimes. What I mean by that is no one lives as long as I have and doesn't have regrets. So remember that. But you can't teach experience. So when Nancy said to me, Aldo, time is so precious, I had no idea what she was talking about at all. But when I turned 43 and looked back and said, yesterday I was 23. And now that I'm 71, I have to say, yesterday I was 43. And hopefully when I'm 90, I can look back and say, yesterday I was 71.
Let me know, too, since your coffee's run out, if you want me to go get you a glass of water.
You know what? I wouldn't mind.
Yeah, let me get you some water.
You're still recording?
Yeah, we're still recording, but I'll just make it quick.
Well, I'll talk. You want to leave it on?
Yeah, you can keep going while I go grab water.
Yeah, I'll talk about Alec because he's going to leave the room. That's
the tell-all.
Let's not tell him though. So I was in New Jersey for a little while. Visit family, personal stuff. And I have to say I miss New Jersey because there's nothing like sitting on the beach and casting out and surf fishing. I never catch anything, but, it's nice just to be near the water. In fact, now that I brought up New Jersey, I've spent a lot of time in New Jersey. And, of course, today you can Google anything and you can find out almost anything. I don't think there's anything you can't find out, except when it comes to affairs of the heart. Google don't know nothing about affairs of the heart. But New Jersey has 126 miles of beach. Atlantic City has, I think, 20-some miles of beach. And I think the boardwalk is 11 miles long. You can ride your bike on a boardwalk 11 miles long. When I say boardwalk, I don't mean like a huge boardwalk. I'm talking about, big enough most likely for a car to drive through. And so, getting back to time and how precious it is. When someone says, how's your day so far? Well, try missing one. That's not nice. You can't miss a day. If you miss a day, you're history. In fact, I like to write. And so sometimes I'll sit down and I'll write a title. And one of the titles was How Precious a Breath Is. Because life is so vulnerable. The thought that if you don't breathe or oxygen doesn't go to your brain for 5 minutes, you're history. So we're very delicate creatures, actually. As strong as we are, we're very delicate creatures. Now, I'm putting this entertainment company together because it's the only thing that I can think of where I can make the kind of money to be able to afford a jet. Now, it's not something I thought of yesterday or the day before. I remember being 19 years old in Sardinia, Italy, and I'm at the airport to pick someone up. And I remember this small jet landing and a guy walking out. And the jet it was almost like a toy, how perfectly it landed. And then when I'm on the island of St. Peter, same year, I met this English family that were on it was a yacht. It was a schooner sail. Beautiful, beautiful boat. I said to myself, how nice. So now I think about, did I mention about family, friends, health, and
I don't think you've said it on
those 4 words. Because if you're trying to figure out the mystery of life, don't bother. Everybody's trying to figure out the mysteries of life. The gurus, I'm someone in my life that says all I want is peace of mind. Well, that's man's ultimate goal, peace of mind. Now, I've had people say to me, Aldo, what's it like to have a fresh head? Because of the way I think. Sometimes I looked at it like an insult because they think there's a word in Italian that's spensierato, which means not conscious of what's going on in life. But I know. I was having this discussion with my son Aldo. He can't sweat the small stuff at all. Because life, in one way or another, is going to punish you. It's going to take away the people you love. That's why time is so precious, the time you spend with people. The expression inner circle in life, you're going to have only so much time to give to the people around you. And sometimes, I don't mean to be ignorant, but someone's talking shit or someone's talking nonsense, I can't be bothered, It's especially today with cell phones. People showing you pictures or something. Somebody put something on YouTube or Facebook or how funny this guy is or how funny. I can't be bothered. I've been around people that are so funny that I can't even enjoy comedy at all. Vinny the Guinea, Moonbeam, Monk. They're hysterical people. My friend Richie. He says, I'm the only guy I know that has to bail out his wife. He says, man is supposed to bail out his wife. He says, Richie. His name was Richie Bianchi. He played for Yankee minor league. He was a catcher.
And they practice in Clearwater, right?
Yep, Florida. He was a switch hitter. I remember when I came back from Italy, I wasn't really that close to him at the time. He was a few years younger than me. But I remember he was driving a brand new Corvette at 17.
Wow.
because they give him a signing bonus.
Yeah.
You know, and he was a switch hitter. He was a catcher. Now, a catcher on a baseball team doesn't have to hit. A pitcher doesn't have to hit. That's not why they're there. But the catcher on a baseball team is the only person on the team that sees the game the opposite way. And when you think about it, it's the only game where the defense has the ball.
Oh, yeah.
Baseball.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In football, the offense has the ball. In basketball, you're scoring points because you have the ball.
Yeah.
In baseball, it's the opposite. It's a game of, what's that expression? It could be boring. I went to one baseball game my whole life. At
Really?
the Vet in Philadelphia. With my nephew who weighed 90 pounds and had a broken leg. Do you know what it's like carrying someone with a broken leg and a cast in them days to go get a hot dog or take them to the bathroom? In fact, I lost them in the parking lot. I couldn't find my friend's car. So I said, Rico, I'm going to go find Patrick's and his friend's car, and then I'll be back. The whole place emptied out. So then there's a station wagon, and I see Rico, and his family stayed there because, he's by himself, he's young. And when I walked up, he said, you must be his Uncle Aldo. You know what I mean? I lost him, I swear to God.
How old was he? Like 5 years old?
No, he was about 7. But he was big. He's a big kid. He's 6'5" now.
Yeah, and he had a broken leg at the time.
Yeah. Got hit by a car. There's a picture of him with that, like a baby picture where his head up like this, like he's laying down, and they took a picture from the front.
Yeah.
Well, you can't see his body. I always used to say to him, your head must weigh 60 pounds or something. But he's a gentle giant.
Yeah.
Got beautiful family, grandchildren, et cetera, et cetera. He's like my son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
How old were you around that time you went to the baseball game? If he was 7.
I was about 21, 22, maybe 22. I don't like crowds.
Yeah.
I'm not into looking for parking spaces or, concerts. Too much for me. It's too much. The crowds are too much for me. I saw something stupid happen one time. I was at a Christmas event at a roller skating rink, and the fire alarm went off. And everybody panicked, ran to the door, and I seen this girl go down. And I'm like trying to push people away and trying to, save her life. They were stepping on her.
It was like a stampede.
Oh, it was terrible. She went down bing. They were running over her. I finally got to her and started pushing the crowd away. Her name was Sharon Conrad. She was in my homeroom class.
Wow.
I'll never forget.
Was she grateful that you tried to help?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
I even undid her bra.
Right then?
I undid her bra so she could breathe.
Oh.
I seen it because my mother has 6 sisters, and one of them would get hysterical and pass out or whatever. That's the first thing they did was undo their bra. So that's what I did. They must have thought I was fondling her or something.
Oh my gosh!
I swear to God. And
she's getting trampled,
and then I finally, I picked her up a little bit, and I asked somebody to get a glass of water. The alarm went off, and it was cool.
Oh my God!
But I'll never forget that. I was 14 at the time.
Wow.
Yeah, it was my. I was in 9th grade. Sharon Conrad. Yeah. Whew. But I saw her go down, man. They're stepping on. People like to panic.
Yeah.
Well, in New Jersey, when the news you hear about snows and all, forget it trying to buy water. Everybody goes to the store. It's like what happened here.
Yeah.
When the pandemic started. You couldn't find toilet paper. I mean, that's ludicrous.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. I saw masks advertised for $5,000, a box of regular masks that the doctors wear, excuse me.
Yeah.
This kind of mask, a box of this mask for $5,000. Now, if you're worth 30, 40 million, it'd be like $5. Somebody might have bought them.
Yeah.
You know, all I know is that the building business, lumber went through the roof. You know, it's a shame because, you know, it's not good for homes to be that expensive. Kids need to be raised in homes that their parents own. It gives them a certain assertiveness. I remember as a teenager, and a friend of mine, Bruce, and I remember going to his place, and he lived on top of a liquor store. It was an apartment, and I thought it odd that his family rented an apartment like that. His father didn't have a house, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a certain assertiveness, you know. By the way, Quinto just came back in from New Jersey last night.
Oh, cool.
I picked him up at the airport. In fact, I haven't picked him up at the airport for 20 years. It's been since I've ever picked him up at an airport.
Wow.
I remembered it last night. The last time I picked him up at an airport was in Georgia. It was my daughter's service.
Oh.
It was Randy's service. Because he said he was going to Uber or whatever, you know. And I said, no. In fact, I pulled up, and there was this truck in front of me. And I saw him before he saw me. And I got out of the car to let him know, you know, I'm not pulled over yet. I'm right in the, you know, over from the curb. So then I was sitting behind the truck for 10 minutes. Then the truck moved. He goes, well, why don't you pull over? Yeah, I wanted to pull over, but the truck was in front of me, you know. But I like to do that. I like to time it so that, you know, you can't hang. After 9/11, they don't want you loitering at an airport.
Yeah.
At all. And it's a big fine if you walk away from your car, et cetera, et cetera.
Were you in New Jersey when 9/11 happened?
Yes.
Wow.
In fact, I was going to work that day.
Were you working in the city that day?
Not in New York. No. I was in New Jersey, and I had a crew. And it was mostly family, I think. And I remember getting a phone call from my nephew's mother. And she said, did you see what happened? I said, no. She said, turn on the TV. And, of course, every channel had it.
Yeah.
And I turned on the TV, and I watched the second plane hit. I thought it was a, how do you say, I thought they were showing the first plane hitting again.
Oh, a replay.
I thought it was a replay. Then I realized. But as soon as the second plane hit, I knew that the buildings were going to come down. Now, the reason I knew is because, first of all, I've been in the trades a long time. Steel has to be wrapped with concrete so that heat can't get to it. But by using jet fuel and how large the planes were by crashing, and the jet fuel had to melt the steel. That's what happened. I think if those planes had hit the Empire State Building, it probably wouldn't have came down.
Why do you think that?
Because it was built differently.
How was it built differently?
They wrapped it more with concrete.
They wrapped all the beams in the Empire State Building with concrete?
I'm sure they did with the World Trade Center, but it was a different structure. I seen a special one time how it was built.
Yeah. Have you been to the new Memorial Museum?
No.
I've been outside of it, but I haven't gone
Ground
in.
Zero?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
I've heard it's...
How tall is that building?
I think it's 1 story taller than the old one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
121 stories then.
Yeah.
Because I think the World Trade Center was 120 stories.
It might be... Yeah, I think it's a story taller.
Yeah. What is the Empire State Building 120 stories?
Let's look it up. I think the Empire State Building is 100, right? I don't know.
102. I was on top of that building, the Empire State Building.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, let's see. I think it was built by 1939. See if I'm correct about that. My two brothers were the builders. I think they were from South Africa. Why did they hire somebody from South Africa to build the tallest building in the world?
So Empire State is 102.
102, okay.
Let's see.
And then Sears Tower was the tallest building in the world at one time. I think the World Trade Center was 120, so see if I'm correct.
Let's see.
Of course, now the tallest building in the world is in Asia.
Yeah, Dubai.
Is it in Dubai?
I think so.
I don't know. I thought
Maybe
it was
Shanghai or Hong Kong.
No, not Shanghai.
World Trade Center was 110 stories.
110. Okay. That's a lot of stories.
Yeah.
I think each story represents 10 feet.
Yeah, and the new one is 94 stories, so it's actually
94
shorter.
stories,
I was
yeah.
wrong.
There's a movie called Crazy Rich Asians.
Yeah.
I love that movie. That was insane.
Yeah. I
And
haven't
there's
seen
a
it.
building. Where is that? Where was that filmed? There's a building with a swimming pool that's attached to like 3 buildings, and it spans across all 3 buildings. The 3 buildings are connected up top.
Let me look it up.
In fact, I mentioned it to Quinta one time. He knew what I was talking about.
Oh, yeah, look at that building. I'll put a picture of it on the YouTube video.
Where's
Where? I thought I saw it.
You know what I'm talking about? Which the building? It's in.
Is it that thing?
That's it.
Yeah, I'll put a picture of this on the YouTube
That's a
video.
monster. That building. Look at that building.
Yeah, looks like.
Look what that what a little man can create.
Yeah,
Isn't that amazing?
it's amazing.
Well, that's the fascination of life, is to never forget how amazing the human mind is and what it can do and what it can build. Because when you think about the Holland Tunnel, the Lincoln Tunnel going underneath the Hudson Bay, or my niece, for instance, went from England to France to buy a bottle of wine on that that runs underneath the English Channel.
Oh,
I had seen something.
the channel?
It's what it's called, the channel.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think they built these 2 machines, I think at a cost of like $500 million a piece. And one started on one end and one started on the other end, and one just drove itself into the ground and stayed there
Oh.
for the other one to come through.
Wow.
Well, sure, how else were they going to do it?
Yeah.
Couldn't back it up, because as it's going through, they're lining it.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm pretty sure that's how it
Yeah,
is.
that's pretty cool.
You know? Sometimes I talk about stuff, I'm not on 100% here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, but anyway.
I was going to say, I heard a cool story on a podcast called Radio Lab about the Empire State Building. I think it was in the 40s or 50s. A plane hit the Empire State Building, and there was a woman in an elevator at like one of the 90th floors.
Uh-huh.
And the plane went in, it severed the cable, and so the elevator fell. She was like a secretary. She fell 94 stories, but she survived.
Wow.
And the reason she survived was there was so much, the cable was so long that it began to spiral as she fell down, and it basically cushioned
her fall.
There was so much cable at the bottom of the elevator by the time she landed.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
It cushioned it.
It cushioned it. It became like a spring.
Exactly. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she survived.
The craziest story I've ever read was a woman in France who jumped off the Eiffel Tower because her lover Pierre left her. She was pregnant. She got caught on the girder. They had to amputate her leg, and they delivered the child.
Oh my God. They both survived?
The woman that they had to amputate her leg, but they delivered the baby.
Wow.
Well, her friend Pierre left her. That's insane.
That is insane.
And his name is Pierre.
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty cliche.
pretty cliche is right. You know what I mean? That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy.
See if it was an outfit from South Africa that built the Empire State Building. I think Trump owns the Empire State Building. Was it 1939 or?
Starrett Corporation. Let's see.
I'm pretty sure it was. I remember reading an article. I know it was two brothers because I think one of them killed himself or something. It was so much pressure, you know.
The Bethlehem.
What a venture that was.
The company's president, Floyd D. L. Brown, paid $100,000 down payment required to start construction on the tower. Let me see if I search.
That should have went in as one of the wonders of the world.
Yeah.
I think the Hoover Dam is one of the seven wonders of the world.
One of the new ones? The modern
Hoover
wonder?
Dam is one of the seven wonders of the world. The Taj Mahal is, right? I think there's seven of them.
Yeah, but the ancient wonders of the world were like totally different. They're like the Hanging Gardens of Babylon and...
No, I'm talking about, yeah.
You're talking about the new ones?
Well, when was the World Empire State Building built?
Let's see. The Empire State Building.
I think it's 1939. I'm not sure.
The hotel on the site of today's Empire State Building closed in 1929, and they began building. Yeah, they began building in 1929.
Maybe they finished it in 39. Well, did it take 10 years? Yeah, it could be.
Let's see.
I mean, look at that building.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Look at it being built. I'll put this picture in the YouTube video as well, but there's a Zeppelin going over it as it's going up. That's wild. Yeah, let's see what...
That sure is wild.
Let's see when it got finished. Started in March 1930, and the building opened 13 and a half months afterwards in 1931.
Is that possible? You mean, could they build it in 13 months?
They must have.
No. You can... it's hard to believe they built it in 13 months.
It is hard to believe.
13 months. I don't
you heard it here. He's
13 months. Oh, my God. 13 months. It takes us that long to put a restaurant together.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Even casinos, let me see. The Mirage was started in maybe the beginning of 88. It took 2 years. It takes a couple years. But then they put thousands and thousands of men to work.
Is the new Mirage new? Like, did they implode an old Mirage?
No.
Okay.
No.
One of my favorite bands from Las Vegas, The Killers, they released a new album, and it's called Imploding the Mirage. And it made me wonder if they had, like, imploded one of the old Mirages.
No. The Dunes was imploded.
Oh, okay.
The Dunes Hotel was imploded the day that Treasure Island opened. Steve Wynn coordinated that. He started with the Golden Nugget in
Old Vegas,
in downtown Las Vegas on Fremont. In fact, I personally knew the people that ran it for him. He bought a plane, put Golden Nugget on it, and went up in the air and partied. And borrowed. Got investors. He hung out with Sylvester Stallone, Muhammad Ali, Robert De Niro, and he raised $100 million.
Wow.
The Golden Nugget at the time did after the smoke cleared, did maybe 12 to 14 million a year. With that, he took that as a, stepping stool. And after he borrowed $100 million from investors, Well, you're not borrowing from investors. When he got $100 million invested in the Golden Nugget, then he bought $160 million, Junk Bond King, and he built the Golden Nugget in Atlantic City for $260 million. In fact, he petitioned the New Jersey Gambling Commission if he can have double-tier buses to bring in the suckers for gaming. They had a racket going.
Wow.
Well, what happened was this. You give them, you're actually giving them a free ride into town. Like they buy a ticket for $15 and you give them $20 in quarters.
Mm.
You know. So you're actually giving them $5. One year he did so good that he gave all his major employees a car as a bonus.
Wow.
Yeah, big money. Because Atlantic City, they were doing over $1 million a day in revenue.
Wow.
In fact, he couldn't even step into his own casino.
Why is that?
Because is it possible for the king's men to be crooked and the king not? It happened with the Nixon administration.
Mm.
Could all his men be crooked and him not? So the two guys that ran the Golden Nugget for him got in a little trouble. Like there was a murder committed.
Oh, damn.
And there was a big investigation. But I was supposed to actually go there, Atlantic City, and work as a pit boss because I was offered a job in Vegas. And someone I knew was going to go to Atlantic City to run the Golden Nugget. But that didn't happen. Now, Sinatra was the master of ceremony when Reagan became president, his inaugural ball. Steve Wynn and Sinatra did a commercial for the Golden Nugget. And Sinatra, taps him on the cheek. He says, I think we need more towels, kid. Typical what Sinatra would say. And Sinatra was very close to Reagan. They were good friends.
I didn't know that.
In fact, Sinatra, at one time, I think he owned as much as 4% of Caesars in Las Vegas.
Wow.
But they took his license away. He couldn't be an owner because he was very friendly with Giancana.
Who's that?
He was the reputed mob boss of Chicago.
Mm.
But he really didn't run Chicago. A guy named Batts did from Palm Springs. But Giancana was the front man.
So was Frank involved in the mob?
Not really.
He just knew all the bosses.
Excuse me. Well, he was Sicilian. His father was Sicilian. In fact, he went to court. After Reagan became president, he went to court with photographs of him with mobsters. It's Carlo Gambino was head of the Gambino family in New York, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But he claimed he's an entertainer. People want to take pictures with me.
Yeah.
So his license was reinstated.
Mm.
It's funny. I think I talked about it on the last podcast, how you can find out how much somebody was worth.
Yeah.
Sinatra was worth about $350 million.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, you got when you start accumulating money, you have people around you with money who. Dean Martin made a comment one time. There was was called Martin something production, and Dean Martin never did anything. The guy just wanted to use his name.
Oh, wow.
Of course.
And he's getting a cut from it, right?
Well, of course.
Yeah.
It's like Danny Thomas was the spokesman for Maxwell House Coffee. They use stars for to promote things.
Yeah.
Look at Michael Jordan with Nike.
Yeah.
A Haynes. He did Haynes commercial.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Bruce Willis. Got paid $5 million by, I think, Seagram's when they made those spritzers, like the wine and seltzer drinks. You know,
Yeah.
they pay big money.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Big money in advertising.
It's all about advertising. You know, Richard Pryor was on the, I wish I had a book of matches. Richard Pryor was on the Johnny Carson show. And apparently he must have brought a matchbook with him or whatever. He said, this is me, lit a match. This is me running down the street. He says, nobody comes near you when you're on fire. So now, Johnny Carson, I used to like him. In fact, when television went color, Johnny Carson actually blushed. If you went on his show, you were automatically made. It was an amazing thing. Anyone that's got 30 million viewers every day.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on 5 days a week, you know.
Yeah.
And so Johnny Carson said, didn't Paramount give you $25 million to make money and, you know, something happened or about the money? And Richard Pryor goes, I don't know. $25 million, you know. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is.
But money's a funny thing. I was watching I think it was the Mega Fund, Toxic Cleanup. And I'm watching TV and the Senate investigation. And there was a woman. They were interviewing, whatever, they were asking questions and all. And there was $1 billion missing. Now that's $1,000 million. $1,000 million is $1 billion. I'm looking under my chair. I'm sitting at home. Maybe I got it. How do you misplace $1 billion?
Yeah, it's nuts.
You know? What did Richard Pryor do with $25 million that he never made the movie he was supposed to make? You've heard of Cheech and Chong, right?
Yeah.
Cheech and Chong would have an idea for the movie, and they'd give him $12 million to make a movie.
Yeah.
They were interviewed about your wives and this, and oh, it's easy. We put them in a movie. Those women, when Cheech and Chong, that's their wives, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't even ask what the story was about because they were hot. They were on fire, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting. The whole entertainment business is interesting. It's something that, you know, today especially they do drug testing, et cetera, right? Well, if they ever did drug testing with actors, the movies wouldn't be made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. was in rehab, 3 times, 4 times?
Yeah.
Drew Barrymore was in rehab when she was 13 years old.
Yeah.
You know, because it's an oddball thing. When I ran into Jerry Lewis at a supermarket in Las Vegas, and he had a quintuple bypass. His hair looked like shoe polish. He looked 35. I went home and dyed my hair. I had black stuff all over the bathroom. It was disgusting. And he's playing a slot machine. You know, and I said, can you give me any advice about the entertainment business? He says, I can't give you any advice. He says, my wife's shopping. I'm playing a dollar slot machine. It's not that he couldn't be bothered. You just can't. You can't give someone advice about the entertainment. I don't care about how many books they write or how you should do what you shouldn't do. What's his name? Rebel Without a Crew.
Oh, James Dean? Or
No. He's a movie maker, a Spanish guy. A mariachi he made.
Rebel Without a Crew? Let me see.
Yeah, Rebel Without a Crew. He did the guacamole movies or whatever they were.
Robert Rodriguez?
Robert Rodriguez. He writes a book and he says, whatever you learned in film school, forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, it has nothing to do with that. It's just like I have discussions with Aldo about when someone started building a house, they didn't have a frame or an architect. When someone started filming a movie, there was no books written. Someone had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and now, of course, they write. I read a book one time, you know, about how to film for dummies. You know, that's where I found out about Jerry Lewis hooking up a video camera to a film camera, so he could see
The dailies.
so he can see the dailies, because you have to develop them. There's a lot of controversy about film and digital. Film is film and digital is digital.
Yeah.
You know, the movie Quentin Tarantino about the stagecoach and Hateful Seven or
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight. I thought the movie was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
But kids, I watched it with my son Aldo, and we looked at each other and after the movie, and
Yeah. Did you see?
They said fuck in that movie about 30, 40 times.
Sounds like a Tarantino movie.
Yeah. And there's these young kids behind this. I got them in the movie. They denied them going in, et cetera, et cetera.
You said you were their
I
liaison.
I helped them get in. Yeah.
Your chaperone.
But, yeah, whatever. So
you did them a good favor.
But they loved it.
Oh, yeah.
You see, so Sidney Pollack, he passed away. Director, actor. I never heard anyone say something so honest about that business. He said, in between bad movies, once in a while, we make a good movie.
Yeah.
Like the movie The Irishman with De Niro, Joe Pesci, et cetera, et cetera. That's $200 million. Forget it. There's no way. I want to keep the books. I want to look at the books.
Yeah.
But I think about that all the time. I was in Trenton, New Jersey. My sister had a house in town, a place called Villa Park. Now, they're called either row homes or semi-attached. Now, they're only about 14, 15 feet wide and maybe 50 feet long. And there's a lot of them on a block. But they all pay $4,000 tax. People in the township have a little bit of land and they pay $6,000 or $7,000. But these houses are row homes. Today they call them townhomes.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of money they collect.
Yeah.
They don't plow the street right. I want to keep the books. I want to see the books. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who's keeping the books?
But just because someone pays you $200 million to make a movie doesn't mean you need to put $200 million into it. He might have said like, "Hey, I'm going to make this movie," and then they
if $150 million didn't go to payroll, I'll eat this table with mayonnaise. How's that?
Yeah, yeah.
That movie shouldn't have cost more than $25 million to make. But getting back to Scarface and Al Pacino and my friend Angel saying that Al Pacino's limousine bill was $350,000 and they did $250,000 worth of coke. I mean, come on. He went to a guy on a Saturday for coffee money. He called it coffee money, and the guy gave him $600 cash. They probably wrote it out for $1,200. In the movie business, you can consult with someone and give them $100,000.
Yeah.
It's a strange business.
Yeah.
That's why there's no rules. There's no envelope in that business. What's the guy's name? He made the movie Peter Rabbit. He's English. Made a movie with Cher about mermaids or something.
I don't know. Let me see.
Who killed Peter Rabbit or?
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That's it. He's an English actor. Not bad. He's a pretty good actor. I like him. He was in the movie The Cotton Club.
You're looking for who directed it? Robert Zemeckis?
No. The guy who's in it. The main character.
Bob
He's like
Hoskins.
the detective. Huh? He's like the detective in the
Yeah.
movie.
This says Bob Hoskins.
Right here.
Yeah,
Him.
Bob Hoskins.
Okay. So Scorsese calls him
Yeah.
and said, I want to make a movie, but Bobby's tied up. Called Robert De Niro Bobby. Bobby's tied up. Will you do it? He says, okay. Right? So now he's holding on for Scorsese. He's going to make a movie with Scorsese. So now Scorsese gets a hold of him and says, Bobby loosened up. So I'm going to use Bobby. And Scorsese sent him a check for $100,000.
For being there to For even just being ready and agreeing. Yeah.
NBC gave David Letterman $350,000 a year not to sign with anyone for 2 years.
Wow. Have you ever seen the documentary that Francis Ford Coppola's wife made about him making
Apocalypse Now?
Apocalypse Now?
Guess what?
What?
She put that movie back on the scene by filming behind the scenes.
Yeah. Have you seen that documentary?
No.
It's all her behind the scenes footage. It's called Into the Heart of Darkness.
Right.
It's incredible.
Of course.
How they had like Harvey Keitel as the lead before they had Charlie Sheen or Martin Sheen.
Martin Sheen.
And they filmed for like months with Harvey Keitel. And then he just said like, hey, I want to switch you out. I don't think it's right.
In fact, Francis Ford Coppola hired Martin Sheen at an airport. And Francis Ford Coppola footed that bill. At the time, it was like $40 million.
Yeah.
He lost money. But being that his wife did that documentary, and when she started showing that documentary again, it brought interest back into the movie.
Yeah.
I never really watched the movie Apocalypse, and I watched a little bit of it.
It's okay. It's funny with Marlon Brando.
Yeah.
How they thought they told him to show up and be like really underweight and be emaciated because that's what the character needed to be. And he showed up, he was like 400, 500 pounds or something.
Oh, not 400,
whatever it was.
But maybe 350 pounds.
They said he was just like completely
But that's okay. He didn't care.
They made it work though, yeah.
Yeah, they made it work. In fact, when he was interviewed by Playboy, the interviewer, Marlon Brando was talking about money a lot. The interviewer was talking about something, do you think that acting is an art? And he said, no. And the guy says, why do you act? And he says, where else would I make the fucking money to buy an island? Come on. Laurence Olivier and Robert Mitchum used to room together. And back in the day. And Laurence Olivier said, Bobby, he says, how long do you think we can get away with this? I mean, come on. They're getting over. I think Errol Flynn became a drunk because he felt bad making all that money, doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
He used to have he couldn't drink. That was the rules in the contract. So he would have oranges delivered with hypodermic needles, with vodka or gin. Because you could do that.
Yeah.
You split an orange up and you're having a drink.
Yeah.
It's a different world. It's almost like you have to be almost half nuts.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now the old timers were maybe a little different, like Jimmy Stewart, Gregory Peck, Gary Cooper. They were different. Edward G. Robinson, James Cagney. They had a regular family life. Henry Fonda. It was different.
Yeah.
It was different because they were basically players. It's kind of interesting how, and the players are, and they would list the players, et cetera, et cetera. It's an act.
Yeah, it grew out of theater and...
Yeah. They had I think there was some kind of benefit for Reagan at the Kennedy Center. And Donald Sutherland. By the way, he's huge. He's very tall. I was next to him at either a blackjack table or a roulette table in Vegas. His teeth weren't very nice. I wondered about that. And apparently his brother was with him because he looked just like him. You know what I mean? Very tall.
Yeah. And
Donald Sutherland, I can't quote him, and I'm surprised I can't because I normally could. You have to be able to. Is
it a famous quote?
No, he made a comment about acting, and he said that you've got to be able to tell the truth by lying, or lie and tell the truth. It was he gave a little speech about it. It was at the Kennedy Center. Donald Sutherland. I don't think it would be like maybe a quote. It's just maybe they asked him to speak. Because Reagan, of course, was an actor and president of United Artists.
Yeah.
But it's an act.
Yeah.
It's a tough racket. Robert Mitchum said, where else can a bum like me make this kind of money?
Yeah.
They almost ruined his life because he got busted smoking marijuana back in the day. Clark Gable and Errol Flynn were very good friends. They never made a movie together.
Yeah.
Someone asked him one time why he wouldn't make a movie with Errol Flynn. He says, I wouldn't make a movie with that good-looking son of a bitch. There's no fucking way, he says.
Yeah.
But they were good friends, An interesting character was David Niven. He wrote a nice book called Bring On the Empty Horses, and he roomed with Errol Flynn.
To circle back to the thinking about the entertainment business, what is like your 5-year plan for Ecco'la? Can you share with the audience like kind of what your vision is?
Oh, absolutely.
I'm curious too.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first of all, I wrote 2 full screenplays. One takes place in Las Vegas and New Jersey, of course, and one takes place in New Jersey. Now, but then again, in the film business, you make him see what you want him to see. If we had taken, I'll give you for instance, if Alec and I were on film right now, okay, and you saw me get in a cab or Uber, and I had a shot of McCarran Airport, and then I come into this building here now, and we're making you think that Alec and I are in Las Vegas. It's like if you make a movie for back in the day, in the 30s or 40s, all you need is 3 cars. You're only going to get so much on film.
Yeah.
I mean, the old timers they created the film. It's just like I've seen a live taping of the Merv Griffith show. The stage was painted black with black paint, but it looks good on stage. When I was a teenager, I used to go to a place called Aquarama, Ed Hurst's Aquarama, and we were televised. It was a dance thing. I'd see myself on TV over somebody's house.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was, and they had these 2 killer whales there. It was I think it was in Philadelphia. Yeah, it was in Philadelphia. Or Camden. But anyway, that's irrelevant.
It was like one of those teenage shows where you come on and dance.
Yeah, like Dick Clark had for years.
Okay, yeah.
Ed Hurst. And I used to go to one on the Steel Pier. I kissed Diana Ross on the cheek.
Really?
I could still taste her makeup. when they debuted the song "You Can't Hurry Love."
Really?
It was on the Steel Pier in Atlantic City.
So that was like 68? What, 66?
66, 67.
Wow.
I don't think I drove yet.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah. And but the point is that when I watched it on TV, it looked big.
Yeah.
The dance studio.
Yeah.
But it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was kind of fun. Didn't cost anything.
Yeah.
You just went there and, if you had a sports jacket on and a tie, and I guess maybe you needed to know how to dance, but dancing was easy.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal, in fact, getting back to Ecco'la, in my proposal, I have a business proposal, of course, because I'm going to need investors. I talk about this, and I talk about how lucrative the film business is, because you're taking a shot. You can't cross the chasm in 2 small steps. So you're taking a shot. 7-Eleven. What do you think they named it 7-Eleven? That's a crap expression. Because when you're on the line, if you roll a 7 or 11, you get paid. You know what I mean? That's a shot. So, in other words, I say that at the end of the proposal, I say Shakespeare said that the world is a stage and we are all actors. And I say I just want to get it on film. It doesn't matter what you put on film. It doesn't matter. People will watch it. Netflix will buy anything.
Yeah.
I'm convinced.
Yeah.
They've got so many, in fact, they're promoting me. I stopped paying them $16 a month. They're promoting me for $8. They want my $8. Well, guess what? If they got 1 million people giving them $8, that's a lot of money. They have 165 million customers worldwide at an average of, say, $12 a month. You do the figures. That's a lot of paper. Now, everybody and their mother is streaming movies into the house.
Yeah.
Especially with this pandemic. Right? So I've been thinking about what to film now. Something. And in the entertainment business, you know, I could film you talking to me and me not be here. Then we could film me talking to you and you not be here.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like when they cut music. Somebody could play the saxophone in Chicago, a guitar in New York, the violin in California, and then they could splice it all together. If you listen to like Billie Holiday music is the trumpets, the horns. I mean, they said, okay, recording. They were in a room. They did it all together. They don't have the capabilities of doing it today. Everybody's a track and this track and that track, and you change the sounds. Where's the real music? Everything's electronic. It's just like with money. You don't even need the Treasury Department. All you need is computers. I still use cash. But not many people do. It's electronic. Push a few buttons and you shoot out $1 trillion. Who came up with during the pandemic where, excuse me, I think Tennessee, the most you can collect is $275, which is a mere pittance. But they added $600. Why would you want to go back to work? A dishwasher making $10, $11 an hour. Now he's making $8.75 a week. My son had a little bit of a hard time until it came to the point where they said that's enough. You know, why would they come back to work? And then they use COVID, of course, saying I'm scared to go back to work, which you can't blame them.
Yeah.
You know, and now this pandemic, I don't see any end soon. Do you?
No, and it's just getting worse. We'll probably get shut down again.
Because of winter.
Yeah.
But in winter, the germs drop. In summer, the germs rise. Our biggest fear right now is to get through the winter. You know, you get through the winter and we'll be in good shape. And I don't know, with all this intelligence in the world, and the largest pyramid in the world, a 13-acre span is only off 1/10 of an inch, which is hard to do today. Why can't we come up with a cure for this disease?
Yeah, it just takes time to do it safely, I guess.
That's a money game, too. They're jockeying around for money.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we wouldn't even have to be doing this if everyone quarantined. You know.
Well, how do you quarantine? How do you quarantine a country? How do you quarantine a country? How do you get the milk delivered? How do you go food shopping? How do you do? I don't know. You can't.
But it's just that loop of like, if the dishwasher goes to work and spreads COVID there, then it just goes on and on. Yeah.
Oh, I know the multiplication system. I told you about the penny. Did you ever do that?
Yeah, we did it.
How much it comes out? To $9 million if you add it all up. Correct?
Yeah.
That's insane. Yeah. And it's not 9 million pennies. It's $9 million.
Yeah, I did it with Kat.
Yeah. Because there was I read a book one time where something about an advisor to a king. And it was some kind of, I think, a chessboard. And he said, I want a grain on one square and doubled for every square. You're talking about a silo full of rice or whatever, wheat, whatever it was. So it's the multiplication system. That's how wealth is created. That's how they made billions of dollars. You know, because then there's no stopping. It's like I don't know if ever I've done it, where you roll a snowball and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mm-hmm.
You know? I don't know. I mean, you know, I've never created wealth. I'm going to try.
Yeah.
Well, what's the difference?
Yeah.
What could I lose?
So the goal of Ecco'la is to maybe make some films?
Well, sure. That's the point. In fact, we got to get together and film something.
Yeah.
Like I said, Sidney Lumet, 12 Angry Men was all filmed in a room.
Yeah.
They made the movie The Old Man in the Sea in a boat and in a pool. They didn't do it in the ocean, that's for sure. You have fans and lights and thunder or whatever. You know, I've been trying to think of something that we could do.
Yeah. There's a lot of good filmmakers and film crews here in Memphis. And once COVID's over, we should definitely get one of your short stories and make a film for Indie Memphis. See if one of these big directors
When's the movie?
Indie Memphis Film
Is
Festival.
that what it's called? Indie Memphis?
Yeah, the Independent Film Festival. I think it's canceled.
Well, I'm sure it is.
For the foreseeable future. But yeah, I don't know when the next one will be.
Because of a friend of mine in L.A. who belongs to SAG, they're not doing anything yet. They're supposed to be talking about loosening up, but they haven't.
In L.A.?
Done anything. Yeah.
Yeah, no, they started really intense COVID testing productions for certain things, but you have to have millions of dollars to do it effectively, and smaller projects are all scrapped. Yeah.
Well, you know what? Hollywood is famous for an interesting in the original Ocean's 11 with George Clooney, et cetera, et cetera. Well, there's a scene where he comes down the escalator. I think it's in Bally's in Atlantic City because it's a real long escalator. And it's like maybe a 2-minute scene, maybe a minute and a half, at a cost of $500,000. Who's keeping the books?
Yeah.
That's why Miramax invested $1,950,000 in a film that cost $22,000 to make.
Yeah.
Because they would have spent that much on catering. I was at Caesars, and there's a movie called Players. It was a sign that says, when you're entered, you're subjected to being on film instead of coffee, donuts, People want to be on film. Okay. The most interesting, I'm going to get back to that, but the most interesting story I've ever heard of, a guy in Canada charged the extras $40 a piece to be in the movie.
Wow.
And I remember being somewhere and I said, I read this. And the girl goes, I read the same thing. He actually charged them,
Yeah.
But this was with Natalie Wood and Dean Martin's son.
Mm.
And it was in Caesars, and I sat on the bleachers. In fact, I've seen myself because I remember I had a white windbreaker on. And they were filming, and it had to do with it was in where they play tennis. There's an indoor tennis racket, or used to be. They couldn't get the ball over the net. I swear. They kept filming and filming and filming. It was hard for them to get the ball over the net.
They just needed one shot of it going over, and they couldn't
whatever.
even... Yeah.
But then, John Ford, getting back to John Ford, Francis Ford Coppola?
Yeah.
He's given the accolade to John Ford.
Oh, okay.
That's why his name is Francis Ford Coppola. Because John Ford will go down as one of the ultimate directors, But he had control from beginning to end. In his Westerns... You see a movie where the American natives are lined up on horses. It was his thing. They weren't that organized. The white man would have never went past the Mississippi, west of the Mississippi, if they were that organized. That was John Ford's idea, to line them up like that. And he used American natives from the Utah. Mm. And he paid them union wages. He paid them $5 a day at the time. He also did some things for the government, et cetera, et cetera. But that's the first book I've ever read about the entertainment business. It was called Pappy. His grandson wrote it.
I'll have to read that one.
Yeah, it's interesting. And John Ford was one to do a scene over and over and over, and then he'd say, okay. And that would go in the movie. There was no editing.
Oh,
Once
wow.
he said, okay. Because there's a scene where... I think it's Henry Fonda and Jimmy Stewart, where Jimmy Stewart inherits a bordello from his brother. So, so Henry Fonda's out on a porch and he's pushing his feet up against a post. And I think John Ford filmed it like a ridiculous, like 52 times before he got exactly what he wanted. But it's a vision. George Lucas said it best when he said, when he started Star Wars, they thought he was nuts. And then he was fortunate to get people that come on board to see his vision. It's like me with Aldo when we put together a restaurant. He has a vision of what he wants things to look like.
Yeah.
So then he discusses it with me. Or maybe I'll put something in, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, Mama's deck is almost completely enclosed.
Wow.
And we have a heater in there. There's a band on the weekend. In fact, we're going to put in another heater. I just framed the doorway. Door's going to be installed so that the patio will be, the deck will be completely enclosed like part of the restaurant.
Wow.
It's in fact, it's become a dining room, which is great. Anyway, it was wonderful. I like doing this. I hope you enjoy it. And like I said, I don't know what I'm going to talk about until it comes time to talk about it. We started with the how precious time is, and get it through your head, because it's that precious. Doesn't matter how young you are or how old you are, And again, thanks for listening. And or you'll see me next week. I won't see you, but but I'd like to hear from you. That'd be nice. Okay. So arrivederci. Okay. Ciao.